Chloe saw that Noah was shaking while he sat in her husband's lap, leaning into his side slightly. Recovering from everything. Chloe froze. "What is this?" she asked slowly. Noah immediately straightened up, wiping his face and shifting away slightly like he'd been caught doing something wrong. Tate didn't move much, just turned his head toward her. "You're back early," he said flatly. Chloe ignored that. Her eyes locked on Noah. "What is going on here?" Noah swallowed hard. I just needed." Chloe cut him off. "Noah, why are you sitting like that with him?" Tate's jaw tightened slightly. "He's not a child," Tate said. Chloe snapped her attention to him. "I didn't ask you." Tate stood up slowly now. "Then ask better questions." Chloe dropped her suitcase handle and took a step forward. "I leave for a week and I come back to this," she gestured sharply between them, "after everything that happened." Noah flinched at her tone again. Tate noticed immediately. "Lower your voice," he warned. Chloe laughed sharply. "Or what?" Tate didn't answer that. The silence made it worse. Chloe turned back to Noah. "This is going to blow everything up," she muttered. Tate replied instantly. "It already has, and I don't care. Nothing is more important than my parents' guests feeling safe within these walls from beasts like your son of a bitch brother." Silence again. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Chloe looked exhausted now, not just physically, but like she was realizing she couldn't fix this with anger alone. "I don't even know what I'm supposed to do," she said quietly. Tate's voice softened just a fraction. "Start by believing him," he said, "then decide what kind of person you're going to be after that." Chloe didn't answer right away. She just stood there in the middle of the room, suitcase by the door, staring at two people she trusted, and one situation she could no longer dismiss. Noah didn't sleep much. The kind of exhaustion he had wasn't the kind that made him drift off easily, it just made everything feel heavy and slow. At some point in the early morning hours he gave up trying. The house was quiet. Carefully quiet. Not the peaceful kind, the cautious kind. Noah sat up in bed, rubbed his face once and listened. Nothing. After a moment he got up. Bare feet on the cool floor, he stepped out into the hallway. He wasn't thinking much, just moving, the way people do when they can't stay still anymore. The bathroom was down the hall on the upper floor. The hallway lights were dim, motion-sensitive, soft glow that came on as he passed. Halfway there he passed a slightly open door. Tate's old bedroom. Noah slowed without really meaning to. The room was dark but not completely. A thin strip of hallway light cut across the floor inside. And there on the bed Tate was asleep, twitching during a bad dream. Still. Alone. Noah paused in the doorway for a second. Something about it didn't register immediately as important. It just felt unexpected. Given everything he'd seen earlier in the day, Chloe's suitcase, her presence in the house, the intensity of the arguments, it had been easy to assume everyone would end up retreating into the same shared space eventually in some version of normal. But Tate was here. Separate. Just sleeping. Noah frowned slightly, lingering for a moment too long before catching himself. "This isn't your business," he thought immediately. He continued to the bathroom. That should have been the end of it. But the thought stayed with him anyway, not sharply, just quietly sitting in the back of his mind. Distance. Separation. Tension that didn't fully resolve, even when the shouting stopped. He washed his hands, stared at himself in the mirror for a few seconds, then went back to bed. The next night was similar. The Blue Mansion had settled into a strange rhythm after everything that had happened, like everyone was trying not to disturb the surface too much in case it cracked again. Noah moved through it quietly. He avoided making unnecessary noise, avoided lingering in shared spaces too long, ate when he was told food was ready, disappeared when conversations started getting too heavy. He was tired in a different way now. Not just physically. Emotionally aware in a way he hadn't been before. That night when Noah went upstairs again, he wasn't even thinking about anything in particular. Just going to the spare room. It was then that Noah heard a sound. At first it was faint, almost swallowed by the walls, a strained rhythm of panting broken every few seconds by a low, involuntary groan. Noah froze. His pulse lurched. Oh God. His mind raced to the worst possibility. After everything that had happened, after the shouting, the tears, and the emotional collapse, what if Tate had suffered a seizure? He remembered enough from a first aid class to know that if someone was convulsing, they needed room to breathe and afterward to be turned onto their side. Tate, he called quietly. No answer. Only another muffled sound. Concern overcame hesitation. Noah crossed the room in quick strides and reached for the doorknob. His fingers tightened around the cool brass. He expected the familiar squeak the old door always made. Instead, the knob turned with effortless silence. Someone must have oiled it recently. The latch slipped free without the slightest click. The door drifted inward. For a heartbeat, Noah saw only a sliver of the room, shadows stretching across the floor. Then his gaze lifted. The scene before him stole every ounce of breath from his lungs. His hand went numb on the doorknob. His thoughts stopped. Whatever he had expected to find, it wasn't this. The sight rooted him to the threshold, unable to step forward, unable to retreat, his heartbeat pounding so loudly it drowned out every other sound in the room. It finally occurred to Noah why the sounds had been coming from one of the guest rooms instead of down the hall. He had assumed Tate would have retreated to his old childhood bedroom, the room he'd slept in for years whenever he came home. Instead, for reasons Noah couldn't begin to understand, he'd chosen one of the guest rooms. The realization barely registered before Noah's eyes adjusted to the dim light. His gaze settled on the bed. Tate was there. And so was Chloe. They weren't asleep. Noah stopped breathing. For a long moment, he couldn't make sense of what he was seeing. His mind searched desperately for another explanation, something innocent, something that would fit with everything he thought he knew, but every passing second made it harder to deny the truth unfolding before him. His fingers loosened from the doorknob. His stomach dropped. The room seemed to tilt beneath him as disbelief gave way to a sharp, hollow ache in his chest. Whatever conversation he'd imagined having with Tate, whatever hope he'd clung to after the night's chaos, evaporated in an instant. Without making a sound, Noah remained frozen in the doorway, unable to look away even though every instinct told him he should. Noah saw Tate and Chloe having sex. Scene retracted, read extended version on Wattpad. They lay together on the guest bed, arms around each other. Noah shut the door before they noticed him. He stared through the narrow slit, heart pounding. He hated watching Tate slept with anyone else. He hated seeing them share a bed. But why weren't they doing this in Tate's own childhood room? Why the drafty guest room instead of the bed Tate and Noah had slept in since they were kids? Tate had been drinking. The glass on the coffee table proved it. Noah knew Tate never drank unless something was wrong. Why here? Why now? Why not his own bed with his wife? The questions burned hotter than the sight of Tate's cum still leaking from Chloe's stretched hole. Noah didn't understand. Why was Tate drinking? The amber bottle had been sitting on the nightstand beside the bed, and Noah had caught the unmistakable scent of whiskey drifting into the hallway. That alone disturbed him almost as much as what he'd seen. Tate almost never drank. The only times Noah had ever known him to touch alcohol were the nights he seemed to disappear into himself, when his eyes went distant, and his voice became flat as though he were watching the world from somewhere far away. He only drinks when he's dissociated. The thought wouldn't leave him. But why? Wouldn't someone want to be fully present with the person they loved, especially with their own wife? Unable to bear another second in the hallway, Noah quietly slipped back into his bedroom across from the spare room. He eased the door shut behind him, careful not to let the latch click. The last thing he wanted was for Tate to discover he'd witnessed something so deeply private. He lay down on the bed and pulled the blanket over himself, squeezing his eyes shut. Sleep never came. He stared into the darkness, every sound in the old house amplified by the silence. Several minutes later, he heard the guest room door open. Soft footsteps padded into the hallway. Noah held his breath. The footsteps stopped outside the bathroom. A moment later came the quiet sounds of someone using the toilet, followed by the rush of running water. Tate. There was no mistaking the steady cadence of his footsteps as they returned to the hall. Noah expected him to head back toward the guest room. Instead, the footsteps continued in the opposite direction. Another door opened. Then it closed with a muted thump. Silence settled over the house once again. Noah remained perfectly still, staring at the ceiling. His curiosity gnawed at him, but he refused to move. Whatever Tate was doing now, Noah knew he had already seen more than he ever should have. Even so, his mind refused to stop turning over the night's events, trying and failing to fit them into the image of the man he thought he knew. Noah was startled awake by a deep, guttural groan from the old plumbing. He shot upright in bed, his heart racing, the remnants of a dream about Tate dissolving as he blinked into the darkness. Another rumble echoed through the pipes. Someone was taking a shower. Noah frowned toward the ceiling. He glanced at the alarm clock. 11:00 p.m. It had only been about half an hour since he'd heard Tate leave the guest room to use the bathroom. Somewhere in those 30 minutes, exhaustion had finally overtaken him, only for the house's aging plumbing to wrench him back awake. A shower. At this hour. That alone seemed odd. What unsettled Noah even more was who was in it. Tate hated showers. Noah's mind drifted back years, to the last time he'd seen Tate stand beneath a showerhead. They lived together, then after Tate suffered a seizure. Tate had frozen the moment the water started, his breathing becoming ragged as panic overtook him. Noah had climbed into the shower fully clothed just to steady him, wrapping an arm around his waist and helping him remain on his feet until the anxiety subsided. Ever since Tate had stopped showering with Noah when they were 15, Tate had sworn he hated that third-floor bathroom. "It's too cold," he'd muttered, shivering as much from nerves as from the temperature. From then on, he'd avoided that shower whenever he could. Yet tonight Tate was willingly standing beneath the spray. And then Noah heard something that made even less sense. Singing. Soft at first, almost drowned out by the rushing water, but unmistakable. Tate was singing. Noah stared at his bedroom door. He couldn't remember hearing Tate sing in the shower. In fact, he could scarcely remember hearing Tate sing at all. Tate had always been reserved, almost self-conscious about his voice. If he hummed, it was absent-mindedly under his breath, never with enough confidence for anyone else to hear. But now, through the walls and over the steady hiss of the shower came the faint melody of a man who sounded oddly carefree. The contrast left Noah more unsettled than anything else that night. Nothing about Tate's behavior fit the man Noah thought he knew. Every strange detail, the whiskey, the guest room, the late-night shower, the quiet singing, only deepened the mystery, leaving Noah awake and listening as the old house carried every sound through its creaking walls. Noah slipped out of bed, unable to ignore his curiosity any longer. He reached for the plush green bathrobe hanging from the hook behind the bedroom door. Telly had given it to him for Christmas a few years earlier, joking that it was Noah's favorite color and that he'd finally look respectably cozy on cold nights. He cinched the belt tightly around his waist. The hardwood floor was cool beneath his bare feet as he quietly opened his bedroom door. The hallway beyond lay in darkness, broken only by pale moonlight spilling through the tall windows at the end of the corridor. Carefully, Noah eased the door shut behind him. He stepped into the hall and began making his way toward the third-floor bathroom. The closer he came, the clearer the voice became. Tate was singing. Not humming. Not absent-mindedly murmuring under his breath. Actually singing. His voice floated through the steam-filled room beyond the closed bathroom door, warm and surprisingly melodic, carrying with it a confidence Noah had never heard before. Noah slowed until he was only a few feet from the bathroom. He stopped. The shower continued to rush behind the door, accompanied by Tate's unbroken song, the melody echoing softly through the old hallway. For a long moment, Noah simply stood there in the dim light, listening. He couldn't remember a single time in all the years he'd known Tate that he'd sounded so unguarded. It was as though behind that closed door Tate had forgotten the rest of the world existed. Noah's breath caught. The melody drifting through the bathroom door wasn't unfamiliar. He knew the song almost immediately. It had been on repeat during one of his more obsessive phases until every verse and every rise in the chorus had become second nature. Tate wasn't merely humming the tune. He was singing from near the end of the song, his voice carrying easy confidence over the steady rush of the shower. Noah stood motionless in the hallway. He'd never heard Tate sing before, not like this. Hearing him choose that song and hearing him sound so comfortable while doing it stirred a strange mixture of nostalgia, confusion, and longing. It was another reminder that the man behind the bathroom door seemed different from the Tate Noah thought he knew. Noah recognized the tune immediately. It was Obsession by Anna Motion, the same song Susie had asked Talia about just weeks earlier, one Noah had heard often enough to identify within the first few notes. Hearing Tate sing it so effortlessly felt surreal. My fantasy has turned to madness, has turned to madness. And all my goodness has turned to badness, has turned to badness. My need to possess you has consumed my soul. My life is trembling, I have no control. I will have you. Yes, I will have you. I will find a way and I will have you. Like a butterfly. A wild butterfly. I will collect you and capture you. The shower water suddenly shut off. Silence settled over the third floor. Noah's pulse quickened. A second later, the bathroom door opened. Steam rolled into the hallway. Tate stepped out completely bare-ass nude. Noah instinctively flattened himself against the wall, retreating into the deepest pocket of shadow the dim hallway offered. He scarcely dared to breathe, terrified that even the smallest movement would give him away. Tate never looked in his direction. His damp hair clung to his forehead as he walked barefoot across the hardwood floor, seemingly lost in thought. Noah expected him to return to the guest room where Chloe was. Instead, Tate continued down the hallway. He stopped outside the bedroom he'd slept in as a boy. The old door creaked softly as he opened it. Tate disappeared inside, and a moment later the heavy click of the deadbolt echoed through the quiet hallway. The sound was deliberate, unmistakable. Noah stared at the closed bedroom door, his stomach tightening. Tate had locked himself inside his childhood room, shutting out the rest of the house as complete silence settled over the third floor once again. A moment later, Noah heard the muted squeak of the bed support and the soft rustle of bedding as Tate settled onto the mattress. Then everything became still once more. Noah remained hidden against the wall, his mind racing. None of it made sense. Tate had spent the evening with Chloe in the guest room, yet now he had quietly returned to his childhood bedroom to sleep alone. The pieces refused to fit together, and the more Noah tried to assemble them, the more bewildering the picture became. The guest room door stood slightly ajar, the lights inside extinguished. Noah crept quietly down the hallway, each cautious step answered by the old floorboards beneath his feet. From behind the locked door of Tate's childhood bedroom came the unmistakable creak of bed springs as Tate sat upright, apparently alerted by the noise. Noah froze, listening until the house fell silent again. Then, drawing a careful breath, he turned his attention to the narrow opening of Chloe's room and slowly peered inside. What he found made him stop cold. From where Noah stood, Tate's side of the bed looked untouched, as though no one had lain there at all. His brow furrowed. Why had Tate and Chloe slept separately tonight? Maybe Tate was furious with Chloe over the way Derek had treated Noah earlier that evening. Perhaps the two of them had argued after everyone else had gone to bed. And sleeping apart was simply the aftermath of that fight. A knot of guilt formed in Noah's stomach. Had his presence in the house caused this? The thought weighed heavily on him. Whatever complicated feelings he still harbored toward Chloe, resentment over her place in Tate's life, jealousy of the intimacy she shared with him, he didn't actually want her to be miserable. Nor did he want Tate to be. If the couple had quarreled because of everything that had happened that night, Noah couldn't help but feel he was somehow to blame. The breakfast table the next morning was quieter than usual. Not peaceful, careful. Like everyone was aware, the wrong word could reopen something that hadn't fully closed yet. Noah sat with his hands wrapped around a mug of tea he wasn't really drinking. Chloe was across from him, picking at her food more than eating it. Tate stood near the counter, pouring coffee but not joining them yet. Noah kept glancing between them. Something about it still felt off to him, even after everything had been said the night before. Finally he spoke. I'm sorry. Both Chloe and Tate looked up at the same time. Noah swallowed. I feel like I've made things worse between you two. Chloe frowned slightly. What are you talking about? Noah shifted in his chair, uncomfortable. If my presence here has made things awkward, he said carefully, or hurt your relationship with Tate, I never meant to come between you two, especially after what happened with Derek. The name Derek tightened the air immediately. Tate's jaw flexed once, but he didn't interrupt. Chloe set her fork down slowly. Noah, she said more cautiously now, you didn't cause any of this. Noah nodded but didn't look convinced. It still feels like I did, he admitted. Tate finally moved toward the table and sat down, coffee in hand. Chloe glanced at him briefly, then back at Noah. Noah continued, voice softer now. I don't know, it feels like everything shifted because I came here. Chloe's expression tightened slightly. That's not fair to yourself, she said. Noah hesitated, then added anyway, I mean, Tate's sleeping alone because you're angry. Chloe blinked. Tate stopped mid-sip of his coffee. Chloe slowly turned her head toward Tate. Tate didn't say anything. That silence answered more than words. Noah noticed the shift immediately. He trailed off. Right. Chloe's expression changed, subtle at first. Then sharper. Wait, she said slowly. Noah frowned slightly. What? Chloe looked between them again, more carefully this time. Then she leaned back slightly in her chair. That's not because he's angry, she said flatly. Noah paused. Tate didn't move. Chloe exhaled once, like she was deciding whether to say it plainly or not. Then she did. Tate and I haven't been sleeping in the same room since the wedding. Silence hit the table. Noah froze. Oh, he said quietly. Chloe continued, more controlled now. It has nothing to do with you, or Derek, or last night. Noah blinked, processing. Tate finally spoke, voice calm but firm. It's been like that forever, and we both prefer our own space. Noah looked between them again, confusion deepening. Then why, he started, then stopped himself. Chloe answered anyway, though her tone tightened slightly. We sleep better when we're alone. Sometimes relationships work in unconventional ways, she said. They just do. Noah's eyes dropped to the table. I didn't know, he said quietly. Tate shook his head once. You weren't supposed to. Chloe exhaled, rubbing her temple briefly. This isn't on you, she repeated. Noah nodded, but his expression stayed uneasy. I just assumed, he started. Don't, Tate cut in gently but firmly. Noah looked up at him. Tate's voice softened slightly. Don't try to assign yourself responsibility for things you weren't part of. That made Noah go quiet again. Chloe watched them both now, expression unreadable. Then she leaned forward slightly. Noah, she said more carefully, you're not in the middle of anything here. Noah hesitated. I feel like I am, he admitted. Chloe's expression softened just a fraction. That's because everything else exploded around you, she said, not because you caused it. Silence again. This time it wasn't sharp. Just heavy. Noah finally let out a slow breath. I just don't want to make anything worse, he said. Tate looked at him steadily. Then stop assuming you are, he said. Chloe nodded slightly. For once, she added, a bit more gently than before, listen to that part. Noah gave a small, uncertain nod. The room stayed quiet for a moment longer. Then Tate took a sip of coffee and said almost casually. We've survived worse mornings than this. Chloe shot him a look. That's not comforting. Tate shrugged slightly. It wasn't meant to be. That earned a faint, reluctant exhale from Chloe, almost a laugh but not quite. Noah watched them both for a moment. The tension was still there. But it wasn't aimed at him anymore. And for now, that was enough. The blue kitchen was a cavern of cool tile and chrome, the kind of space that echoed with every clink of a knife against a cutting board. Noah stood at the massive island, the heels of his hands pressing fresh pasta dough into a flat, golden disc. The rhythmic push and pull was the only sound in the room, a meditative counterpoint to the tension that had coiled in his spine since he'd stepped through the front door a few days ago. Noah kept his head down that day, trying to give the happy couple time to themselves so they could repair whatever issues they were having with them. Noah tended Talia's garden and lost himself in the kitchen. It was safer here, surrounded by the smell of basil and garlic, than anywhere near the silent, charged space that Tate and Chloe occupied. The sound of heels on the marble floor of the foyer made him pause. Voices, high light layered with the easy confidence of women who had never known real want. Chloe's girlfriends. He'd seen them arrive an hour ago, a trio of perfectly curated smiles and expensive handbags, sweeping through the house with air kisses and compliments about the renovations. They'd settled on the back patio with glasses of rosé, but apparently the afternoon sun had driven them inside. Noah's hands stilled on the dough. The kitchen was open to the main living area, separated only by a large curved breakfast bar. He was visible if they came all the way in, but for now their voices drifted from the sunken living room just beyond his line of sight. He should announce himself, clear his throat, let them know he was there. Instead, he remained frozen, a silent statue in an apron, his heart beginning a slow, hard thud against his ribs. He shouldn't eavesdrop, it was wrong, it was a violation. But the first sentence that reached him pinned him in place like a butterfly to a board. "I'm just saying, Chloe, it's a little weird, isn't it?" The voice belonged to Lindsay, the sharp one with the auburn bob. "You've been married for, what, almost a year, and you're still doing the separate bedrooms thing?" A beat of silence filled by the clink of a glass being set down on a marble coaster. "It's not a big deal," Chloe's voice came, lighter than Noah expected. Breezy, a practiced deflection. "He's a light sleeper, so am I kick. Sometimes the hard work Tate does and the anxiety he feels can cause seizures. He doesn't want to disrupt my sleep or alarm me." "Bullshit," another voice cut in, Mia the blonde. "I've known you since freshman orientation at prep school, Chloe. You sleep like the dead, you could sleep through a hurricane, try again." There was a nervous laugh from Chloe. "Okay, fine, he has a terrible routine of insomnia and bad dreams, so us in different rooms was necessary for me to sleep undisturbed. Tate doesn't want to wake me when he has issues, it's considerate." "Considerate," Lindsay repeated, the word dripping with skepticism. "Right, and the sex, twice a week you said, on a schedule." Noah's throat went dry, his fingers left indentations in the dough. "Twice a week. A schedule." The words were clinical, sterile, they described a transaction, not a marriage. "It's not a schedule," Chloe protested, but her voice wavered. "It's just, we're both busy, we make time for each other." "Chloe," Mia said, her tone softer now, an intimacy that suggested this was a conversation long overdue. "Honey, listen to yourself, make time for each other. That's what you say about a dentist appointment, or a quarterly review, that's not what you say about the man you love." The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Noah could picture them, Lindsay and Mia leaning forward, their perfectly manicured hands reaching out to touch Chloe's knee, while Chloe stared into the bottom of her empty wine glass, searching for answers in the pink residue. "Does he even look at you?" Lindsay asked, her voice dropping. "I mean, really look at you when you're getting dressed, when you're talking, or does he look through you?" "He's reserved," Chloe whispered. "He's always been that way, he's not a gusher, he doesn't do grand gestures. My doctor said that Tate is emotionally reserved and avoidant." "Neither does a brick wall," Mia said, and there was no cruelty in it, only a sad, weary truth. "But a brick wall doesn't promise to love and cherish you for the rest of your life. Chloe, baby, what does he promise you? What does he actually give you?" The question hung in the air. Noah stopped breathing. He wanted to hear the answer. He needed to hear it. He needed to know if the man he had loved in secret for half his life was capable of giving anything to anyone, or if he was just as hollow and cold to her as Tate had been to Noah during the time Tate abandoned him. "He gives me stability," Chloe said finally, her voice small. "He's reliable, he pays the bills, he's good to my parents, he doesn't cheat, he has money and social standing, he doesn't yell, he doesn't—" "Doesn't what?" Lindsay pressed. "Doesn't want me," Chloe breathed, the words a confession she had been holding in her chest for months. "Not really, not the way a husband should want his wife, the sex. It's fine, it's good, he knows what he's doing, he knows the mechanics, but there's no heat, there's no hunger, it's like he's going through a checklist. Kiss the neck, he doesn't even stay. He gets up, goes to the bathroom, and I hear his door click shut 5 minutes later." Noah felt a cold sweat break out on his back. He knew that Tate, he knew that detached, efficient competency, the same way Tate had been with him in the end, professional, distant, a cool, merciful execution of a relationship that had grown too hot, too messy, too real. "On the 4th Sunday of every month we go to Talia's house, well, this house, for Sunday dinner," Chloe said quietly. "He's kind, sweet, even, sometimes Tate holds my hand, we act like the happy couple because we don't really have a reason not to." Noah listened from the shadows, barely moving. "He doesn't hit me," Chloe continued. "He doesn't do anything bad, he does, well, beyond the bare minimum. He's loyal, kind, nice, he does everything a husband should." She stopped. Her fingers moved slowly against each other as she stared down at them, as though there was something written there that she couldn't bring herself to say out loud. Noah felt something twist painfully in his chest. The words should have comforted him, they should have made everything simple. Tate was good to her, Tate was a good husband, Tate had built a life with someone else. But the hesitation at the end of Chloe's sentence stayed with him. The pause said more than the words had. Noah looked at her hands and wondered what she was seeing when she looked at them. A wedding ring, a promise, a reminder of something missing. He had spent so long thinking about what Chloe had that he didn't. He had focused on her place beside Tate, on the life they shared, on the fact that she got to be the person Tate chose. But standing there, hearing the uncertainty beneath her affection, Noah realized that even being chosen didn't mean everything was perfect. And somehow, that realization hurt almost as much. But the way Chloe said it made Noah uneasy. I told you about our wedding night, Chloe sniffled, and that Tate was somebody else. Noah went completely still. Somebody else. The words struck him harder than he expected. A sharp, ugly feeling rose in his chest before he could stop it. Jealousy. He hated that it was there. He hated that part of him immediately wanted to know who had taken up space in Tate's mind, who had been important enough to haunt a moment that was supposed to belong to Chloe. His first instinct was selfish. Who was it? His second instinct was guilt. Because Chloe was sitting there hurting. Her friends exchanged worried looks. Brooke reached over and took Chloe's hand, her expression soft and encouraging. Go on, Brooke said quietly. Noah watched the gesture and felt another pang of something he didn't want to admit. They knew how to comfort Chloe. They knew how to be there for her. They were part of a world Noah had never been allowed into. Tate dreamed of another woman, Chloe whispered. He was dreaming about her. Noah's jaw tightened. A woman. The word should have relieved him. Instead, it made the jealousy worse in a way he didn't understand. He had expected pain if Tate loved someone else, but he had imagined that person being someone he could compete with, someone he could understand. A woman made everything feel even more impossible. Tate loved somebody else, Chloe cried. Her friends immediately moved toward her. One wrapped her arms around Chloe, pulling her close. You poor thing, Serena murmured. Noah looked away for a moment. He didn't want to feel sorry for Chloe. It would have been easier if he could have kept seeing her as the person who had taken Tate away from him. Easier if she remained the enemy. But hearing her break down made that impossible. Serena handed Chloe a glass of wine. Here, you need fortification for things like this. Chloe accepted it with shaking hands. Go on, Mia encouraged gently. We want to understand, honey. Noah's attention snapped back. He knew he shouldn't care. He knew he had no right to care. But he did. Every part of him was desperate for the answer. What happened during the dream? Mia asked. Chloe stared down at her glass. During the dream, she whispered, he said someone's name. Noah's heartbeat quickened. A name. That was all it took. One name that had followed Chloe for years. One name that had made her question whether her husband's heart was truly hers. Chloe swallowed. Tate was dreaming about someone named Jay. Noah felt something inside him shift. Jay. The name landed strangely. It was a name he'd heard before but hadn't a clue who she was. Not comforting. But it carried weight. And he was smiling in bed, Chloe cried. Noah's chest tightened. That was the part that hurt. Not just that Tate had dreamed of someone else. That Tate had been happy. That somewhere inside his own mind, in a place he couldn't control, Tate had been smiling because of another person. A bitter thought crept in before Noah could stop it. Whoever Jay is, Tate gave them something he never gave me. He hated the thought. He hated how quickly jealousy replaced everything else. But beneath the anger and confusion was something even more painful, the fear that maybe Tate had always been capable of loving someone completely. Maybe the problem had never been that Tate couldn't love. Tate loved someone else. Noah felt the words hit harder than anything else Chloe had said that night. Our marriage is a contract, Chloe whispered. The sentence seemed to hang in the air. Noah stared from the shadows, unable to move. A contract. His mind rejected it immediately. Because that wasn't the Tate he knew. That wasn't the Tate who had held onto memories, who carried emotions so deeply that sometimes they seemed too heavy for him to contain. That wasn't the Tate Noah remembered, the person who could be stubborn, guarded, and impossible, but who also loved with an intensity that could make Noah forget every reason they were supposed to stay apart. I think I've always known it, Chloe continued. From the beginning, the engagement was rushed. The wedding was a business arrangement for his family's firm, all those investor handshakes and portfolio talks. Noah listened, but something inside him fought against believing her. Because if it was true, then what did that mean? He had spent so much time imagining that Chloe had everything he wanted: the marriage, the commitment, the life beside Tate. He had envied her. He had resented her. But now she was saying that the thing Noah had wanted most wasn't what he thought it was. "I was the pretty accessory," Chloe said quietly. "The right background, the right cheekbones. I fit the role of Tate's wife better than anyone else they interviewed." Noah's expression tightened. The jealousy was still there, burning beneath the surface. A part of him wanted to dismiss it, wanted to tell himself that Chloe was exaggerating, that she couldn't possibly understand Tate the way he did. Because if Tate truly never loved her, then why had he chosen her? That question wouldn't leave Noah alone. "Tate never wanted to marry me," Chloe said. Noah's heart twisted. He didn't want to feel relieved. But he did. And that realization made him angry with himself. Because Chloe was hurting. She was sitting there with tears in her eyes, describing a marriage that had left her feeling unwanted. And Noah's first instinct was to wonder if this meant Tate had wanted someone else. Wanted him. "I haven't had a clue why he did," Chloe finished. Silence filled the room. Noah could almost feel the shock from her friends. "You're joking," Mia said. Noah felt the same disbelief. Because despite everything he had heard, one thought kept circling back through his mind. But Tate married her. If Tate didn't love Chloe, if she was only a decision made for appearances, then why had he stood in front of everyone and promised his life to her? Why had he stayed? Why had he built a world with her? Noah's jealousy battled with his confusion. He wanted to believe Chloe because a selfish part of him needed the idea that Tate's heart had never truly belonged to her. But another part of him, the part that had loved Tate for years, wondered if that was even fair. Because maybe Tate had cared about Chloe in his own way. Maybe he had chosen her for reasons Noah didn't understand. And maybe that possibility hurt more than anything else. Noah felt his chest tighten as Chloe's composure finally broke. The tears came harder now, her words interrupted by sobs as she struggled to explain something that had clearly been weighing on her for years. "I asked Tate in his sleep why he married me," Chloe cried. Brooke immediately wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close as Chloe buried her face against her friend. Noah stood completely still. That question echoed in his mind. Why did Tate marry her? It was the question Noah had secretly asked himself more times than he wanted to admit. He had always assumed the answer was simple. Tate loved Chloe, Tate had chosen her, Tate had given her the life Noah had once wished he could have. But Chloe's pain made that certainty begin to crack. "He said he married me for love," Chloe whispered. Noah's heart stopped for a moment. Then Chloe continued. "But I wasn't the one he loved." The hallway felt colder. Noah stared into the room, his emotions twisting into something he couldn't untangle. A part of him felt an immediate, shameful rush of relief. Not because Chloe was hurting. Never that. But because the words meant something he had spent years wondering about. Maybe Tate's marriage hadn't been the proof Noah thought it was. Maybe Tate's heart had never fully belonged to Chloe. The thought made jealousy flare inside him, sharp and immediate. Who was it? Noah hated how badly he wanted to know. He hated that even while watching Chloe fall apart, some selfish part of him was searching for himself in her words. Chloe wiped at her face. "I don't think it's because he loved me," she sobbed. "I think he married me because he loves somebody else." Brooke held her tighter. Noah lowered his eyes. Somewhere beneath the jealousy was a painful understanding. Chloe wasn't describing a victory. She wasn't describing a woman who had won Tate and left someone else behind. She was describing a woman who had been chosen, but still felt like she came second. And that realization unsettled Noah more than he expected. Because if Chloe was right, then Tate had been carrying feelings for someone else all along. And Noah couldn't stop the question from forming in his mind. Who could Tate love enough to marry someone else and still never let go? Noah watched Brooke's expression shift from sympathy to confusion. That doesn't make any sense, Brooke said gently, though there was a clear disbelief in her voice. Why would a man marry a woman for love if he's not in love with her? Noah found himself silently asking the same question. Because that was the part that didn't fit. Tate was many things, complicated, stubborn, difficult to read, but Noah had never thought of him as someone who would make a promise like marriage without meaning something by it. Brooke shook her head. That would completely destroy the whole reason behind saying you were married for love, she continued, lifting her hands and making quotation marks with her fingers when she repeated the phrase. If he didn't love you, he didn't marry you for love. Noah's eyes stayed on Chloe. He could see the pain in her face, but Brooke's words had planted a different question in his mind. Was Chloe interpreting Tate's words one way because she was hurt? Or was there something deeper that none of them understood? Mia was quiet for a moment before speaking. Maybe Tate married you for love, she said slowly, but maybe it wasn't anything to do with you. Noah's breath caught. The idea landed uncomfortably close to the fears he had been trying to ignore. Mia continued. Maybe the person Tate really loves married somebody else. The room seemed to grow smaller. Noah looked away. That possibility was somehow worse. Because it meant Tate could have loved someone so deeply that losing them changed the course of his entire life. Or maybe he married Chloe because he couldn't get out of it, Mia added. Noah frowned. He thought about Tate's family, the expectations, the pressure, all the invisible obligations that seemed to follow him everywhere. That explanation sounded possible. But none of it answered the question that kept bothering Noah. If Tate loved someone else, why had he never said anything? Why had he stayed silent? Why had he let someone else believe she was loved if she wasn't the person holding his heart? Noah felt jealousy twist painfully inside him again. Because whoever that person was, whoever Tate carried with him even into dreams, had a place inside Tate that Noah had spent years wishing he could have. And he wasn't sure whether knowing the truth would finally set him free or hurt him even more. Noah leaned forward slightly without realizing it. Every instinct told him he should stop listening. He knew he was hearing something deeply personal, something that belonged between Tate and Chloe, but the more Chloe spoke, the harder it became to pull himself away. I asked Tate while he slept, Chloe whispered. I asked him why he didn't divorce me. Noah's attention sharpened. The question made sense. If Tate was truly unhappy if he had married Chloe for reasons that had nothing to do with love, then why stay? Why continue a marriage that supposedly left both people unfulfilled? Rich men do it all the time, Chloe sniffled. They leave. Noah found himself holding his breath. He thought of Tate, the expectations surrounding him, the family name, the responsibilities that seemed to weigh on his shoulders even when nobody else could see them. Then Serena spoke softly. And what did he say? Chloe looked down. He said he didn't have that option. Noah's eyebrows pulled together. Didn't have that option. The words unsettled him. He said that being married to me and being miserable was better than not being married to me, Chloe continued, her voice breaking. He said it was a better outcome. Noah felt a cold heaviness settle in his chest. Tate had said that. The idea was difficult to understand. Because even if Tate had been trapped by circumstances, even if there were things Noah didn't know, the thought of Tate accepting unhappiness as the price of protecting something or someone was painfully familiar. That sounded like Tate. The person who carried burdens quietly. The person who would rather suffer himself than let someone else take the damage. Tate married to me was better for everyone, Chloe whispered. Noah stared into the room. That sentence stayed with him. Better for everyone. Not happier. Not because it was what Tate wanted. Because it was what Tate believed was necessary. And that difference made Noah's jealousy become tangled with something else, confusion. If Tate truly loved someone else, then who was he sacrificing for? Who was important enough that Tate would give up his own happiness? Noah hated that his mind immediately searched for an answer. For one impossible moment, he wondered if the person Tate was protecting had always been him. Chloe said, and there was a raw honesty to her voice now, the floodgates finally open. He never loved me, I don't think he's capable of it, or maybe he just doesn't want to be. Tate has never been in love and he told me as much on our wedding night. He goes through the motions of being a husband and provider but his heart never comes home with him. Tate married me because I was convenient, socially acceptable and fertile. I was a good match on paper because I wouldn't ask for too much. And I didn't. I told myself it was enough, that I didn't need the hearts and flowers, that a mature adult relationship was based on respect, not passion. But I'm dying, Mia. I'm slowly, quietly dying in that big, beautiful house. I'm a ghost in my own marriage. He doesn't treat me badly. He's never cruel. He's never raised a hand or a voice, but he doesn't see me. Tate is an ideal catch. He protects me. He gives me everything a girl could want, but he doesn't cherish me. I'm a piece of furniture. A very expensive, well-maintained piece of furniture that he has sex with twice a week because that's what the schedule says. Noah heard a sniffle. Chloe was crying. "Oh, honey," Lindsay cooed, and there was the sound of movement, scooting closer. "Why didn't you tell us it was this bad?" "Because I was ashamed," Chloe sobbed. "I was ashamed that I couldn't make my own husband want me, that I wasn't enough. I thought if I were prettier, thinner, funnier, smarter, he would snap out of it, but he didn't. He just stayed, and always at arm's length." Tate is closed off, distant, cold, and silent. Noah's heart stopped. His hands gripped the edge of the marble counter so hard his knuckles went white. "Whoever Jay is, Tate wants her," Chloe whispered. I've gone through his phone, his email. There's nothing, no texts, no late-night calls. He doesn't go anywhere except work in the gym. But there's something, a sign key on his keyring that doesn't unlock anything in this house. He thinks I don't know about it, and sometimes when he drinks too much he gets this look in his eyes. This hollow, broken look, like he's looking at someone who isn't there, and I don't think it's me he's seeing." "Who then?" Lindsay asked. "I don't know who," Chloe said, her voice heavy with a resignation that cut deeper than any scream. "But I know that person is out there somewhere, and I know that whoever they are, that's the one who has Tate's heart. I'm just the placeholder. I'm the one he settled for because he couldn't have the individual he wanted." The storm outside had softened into a steady, distant rain, like the city was finally exhaling after holding its breath too long. Inside the Blue Mansion, the chaos of interpretation slowly gave way to something quieter, less accusation, more confusion wrapped in reluctant tenderness. It stopped being harmless the second Chloe said Tate's name. "I think he's cheating on me." The room went still. Across from her, Serena slowly lowered her glass. "What?" Mia blinked hard. "Tate." "You're Tate," Brooke added, as there could possibly be another one. Chloe sat curled into the corner of the couch, oversized cream sweater swallowing her hands. Her mascara had smudged faintly beneath her eyes and she looked like she'd been trying not to cry for hours. In the kitchen doorway, unseen by all of them, Noah froze. He'd only come out for water. Now he couldn't move. "Tate would never," Serena started. "He would," Chloe cut in quietly. "At least, I think he would." Noah's chest tightened instantly. "Tate cheating. Impossible." The thought alone felt wrong. Tate was many things, cold sometimes, distant, stubborn beyond belief, but disloyal. Noah couldn't imagine it. And maybe that was because Noah had spent years imagining entirely different things about Tate instead. Things he'd never said aloud. Things he would rather die than confess. "You have actual proof?" Brooke asked carefully. Noah felt his attention sharpen the moment Chloe nodded. "I found a book," she said quietly, "a hollowed-out book in his bedroom where he hid letters from his lovers." The words hit Noah with a strange force. Letters. Hidden away. A part of Tate's life that nobody was supposed to see. "There are at least 5 letters in here," Chloe continued. "They don't have any dates on them and he doesn't sign them." Noah frowned. That detail bothered him more than he expected. No dates. No names. No way to know when they were writ or who they were meant for. "Some of them are from him," Chloe said, her voice wavering. "Sent to women, others are women sending them to him." Noah felt an uncomfortable twist in his chest. The idea of Tate with other people should have been simple. It should have only made him angry or hurt. Instead, it made him curious. Because Tate had always been private. He didn't easily reveal his feelings, didn't let people see the parts of himself that mattered most. And yet somewhere there were letters. Pieces of him that he had hidden. "As many lovers?" Mia asked quietly. Chloe looked down. "Maybe." Noah watched her carefully. "But I don't have a problem with that," Chloe said. "Someone giving his body to somebody is one thing." She paused. Giving his heart to somebody is something very different. Noah's breath caught. That sentence stayed with him. Because that was the fear he understood. Not that Tate could want someone. Not that Tate could be desired. But that Tate could give another person the part of himself Noah had spent years searching for. Chloe reached underneath the coffee table. After a moment, she pulled out a worn copy of Flowers in the Attic. Noah recognized the book, but he immediately noticed something unusual about it. "It's this," Chloe said softly. He hollowed it out. She held it carefully. He hid his mistress's letters inside. Noah stared. The thought of Tate taking the time to carve out a book to create a secret place for something so personal made the mystery surrounding him feel even deeper. "I found it 2 days ago when I was dusting," Chloe explained. It sounded hollow. She ran her fingers along the cover. "When I opened it up, there were letters." The room went quiet. Noah stayed hidden, his mind racing. 4 letters. Possibly more. No dates. No signatures. A hidden book full of pieces of Tate's past. And all Noah could think was that somewhere inside those pages was a version of Tate that even he had never known. Chloe picked up a blue envelope as she unfolded the note and began reading aloud to her girlfriends. "Dear Tate, it's been a while since I last wrote to you, and I wanted you to know that I decided to go to Boston University. It's different here. Interesting, I don't think I ever would have applied if you hadn't encouraged me to. You were the one who made me believe I could do something outside of what I thought was expected of me. I've met someone special. It's still too early to talk about it, and honestly I'm not sure how you'll feel hearing that. Maybe it will make you angry, or maybe it will hurt, I don't know. But I want you to know something. Even though things between us didn't work out the way we once hoped, I still want you to be happy. You seem happy, and that matters to me. I care about you, Tate. When you get to university, write to me. I'll always need an extra friend, and I hope you know you'll always have one in me. Sincerely, Emily." Chloe picked up another letter, carefully unfolding the paper as everyone leaned closer. "This one is from a woman named Darla," she said quietly. Noah watched her expression change as she looked down at the handwriting, wondering what another piece of Tate's hidden past would reveal. "Dear Tate, I loved what we did last night in the hotel room. I wanted you to know that I heard what you said, that you're not looking for anything serious and that you don't want a girlfriend. I understand that, but I was wondering if maybe you'd want to see me again, even if we're just friends with benefits or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. It's just nice being around somebody who doesn't make me feel like I have to fake everything all the time. With you, I can just be myself. If I don't see you again before you graduate, then I guess that's it. I just wanted you to know that I enjoyed the time we spent together, and I'm glad it happened. Sincerely, Darla." Serena, Brooke, and Mia all reacted at once. They flinched slightly, exchanging uncomfortable looks as the meaning behind the letters began to settle in. "Some of these sound like they're from when he was at Brown," Serena said carefully, "before he met you." Chloe nodded slowly. "That's what I thought too." Noah stayed frozen in the hallway listening. Brown. Before Chloe. Before the marriage. Before the life they had built together. A strange mixture of emotions moved through him. Part of him felt relief that some of these letters might belong to a time before Chloe was in Tate's life. Another part of him felt unsettled because every letter revealed another version of Tate that Noah had never known. The hidden letters were creating a portrait of someone who was far more complicated than the person Noah remembered. Chloe reached for another folded piece of paper. "This one," she said quietly, "I'm going to read next." The room became silent. "He was seeing another person while he was dating me." Chloe unfolded the next letter carefully, her fingers tightening around the paper as she glanced down at the handwriting. "This one was written by the mayor's wife," she said quietly. The room immediately changed. Serena, Brooke, and Mia exchanged uneasy looks. Noah felt his stomach drop. Not because of the woman herself, but because of what the letter represented. Another secret. Another piece of Tate's life that had existed outside the version everyone thought they knew. "He was hooking up with her while Tate dated me," Chloe said. Her voice cracked slightly. "We may not have been exclusive, but I still feel hurt." Noah watched her carefully. There was something about the way Chloe said it that caught his attention. She wasn't angry in the way he expected. She wasn't furious about betrayal. She sounded wounded by something deeper. by the idea that even while Tate was with her, some part of him was somewhere else. Chloe's friends immediately moved closer. "Oh honey," Brooke said softly. Serena reached for her hand. "It makes sense that you're hurt," she said. Noah remained silent, his thoughts tangled. The letters were painting a picture of Tate that was difficult to reconcile. Someone who could be affectionate, loyal in certain ways, and yet still keep entire pieces of his life hidden away. And what bothered Noah most was that, despite everything he was hearing, he still found himself searching through every word for something else. Not proof that Tate had hurt Chloe. Not proof that Tate had made mistakes. But proof of who Tate truly loved. Noah watched as Chloe reached for another envelope. "This one doesn't even have a date," she said quietly. The envelope was different from the others. Blue. Even the stationery inside appeared to match. Noah found himself staring at it, his curiosity pulling him in despite himself. There was something about the way Chloe held it that made him feel like this letter carried more weight than the others. "This one has several pages of words," Chloe said, her voice becoming less steady. She looked down at the pages but didn't immediately begin reading. "It must be pretty explicit," she whispered. Her friends exchanged uneasy glances. "Even if none of these letters are about a current mistress," Chloe continued, "I know something is wrong." Noah felt his attention sharpen. Because this was different. The hurt in Chloe's voice wasn't just about physical betrayal. It was about something emotional. "I know he's cheating or something," Chloe said, wiping at her face. "We may have an open relationship, but he's not supposed to catch feelings for other people." The room went quiet. Noah felt a strange heaviness settle over him. Catch feelings. Those words stayed with him. Because that was exactly what Chloe had been afraid of from the beginning. Not that Tate could be desired. Not that he could be with someone else. But that someone else could become important. Noah looked at the blue envelope again. A letter long enough to fill several pages. No date. No name spoken aloud yet. A secret carefully kept. And for the first time that night, Noah wondered if Chloe wasn't searching for evidence of betrayal. Maybe she was searching for proof of something she already suspected, that somewhere in Tate's heart was a place she had never been able to reach. Chloe swallowed hard before reading the first page. Chloe read the first part of the letter. Noah leaned forward before he even realized he was moving. His entire focus was on the blue envelope. For the first time that night, the fear he had been trying to avoid became impossible to ignore. What if this was the proof? What if, after all the years of wondering, all the memories, all the moments he had held onto, he finally found out that Tate's heart had always belonged to someone else? The thought made Noah's chest tighten. Another woman. Someone else who had reached the parts of Tate that Noah had spent so long trying to understand. Someone else who had seen the softness, the vulnerability, the pieces of Tate that he rarely showed anyone. Noah felt something inside him begin to fracture at the possibility. Because it wasn't just about jealousy. It wasn't just about wanting Tate for himself. It was the fear that everything Noah thought they had shared, the connection, the trust, the bond that had always felt different from anything else, had never been as special as he believed. If Tate had truly fallen in love with someone else, Noah didn't know how he would survive that realization. The idea felt unbearable. He had spent so long believing there was something between them that couldn't be replaced. Something Tate couldn't find anywhere else. But what if he was wrong? What if there had always been another person who held Tate's heart? Noah stared at the envelope Chloe held in her hand while he was barely breathing. He wanted answers. He dreaded them. Because if those pages revealed that Tate had loved someone else deeply, someone who mattered more than Noah ever had, it would destroy the one thing Noah had always protected in his mind. The belief that what he and Tate shared had been real. "Dear Tatum, I haven't held you for 3 months now and it's killing me. I miss having my hands on your body and you sitting on my lap. Do you remember what I did to your body the last time I was in LA? When Talia's asleep, call me on the downstairs phone. You haven't said my name in so long. You haven't said Jay in months." The room exploded. "No. Call me when Talia's asleep" is insane. Oh, he's absolutely cheating. Noah shut his eyes briefly. Tate had gone to Boston 3 months ago for a conference. Noah remembered because he'd spent an embarrassing amount of time staring at Tate's airport photo before forcing himself to delete it from his phone. Wait, Serena said slowly, trying to stay rational. Maybe Jay's a friend. Brooke snorted, a friend saying they missed Tate's hands on him. Maybe it wasn't sexual. Mia nearly choked on her wine, laughing. In what universe? Chloe looked miserable. And there's more. Of course there was. Noah's stomach sank. I found a lock of black hair in this letter. That one hit the room differently. The women stared. Brooke whispered, that is serial killer level incriminating. I know. How long was it? Mia asked immediately. Chloe frowned. What? The hair. Why does that matter? Because short black hair could be anybody. Long black hair. Mia raised her brows dramatically. Mistress. Brooke pointed at her. She's right. Serena looked appalled. Why are you both acting like detectives from a trashy reality show? Because this is better than television, Brooke said. Noah barely heard them anymore. Black hair. His own blonde curls suddenly felt like nothing. Years before, when Noah was living in Tate's parents' house, Tate had taken a lock of Noah's hair before they left for Brown University. Noah had always thought it was a special one-time thing, but it looked like Noah had done it with other people. Noah felt betrayed, like he wasn't just the one person Noah had collected hair from, and what they did wasn't special. Noah felt his attention shift as Chloe continued. She reached toward the envelope and then hesitated, as though deciding whether she should reveal the next thing. The lock of hair, Chloe said quietly. Noah frowned. The black hair. His eyes narrowed slightly as he listened. It's about 4 to 6 inches long, Chloe explained. It could be a woman's. A strange chill moved through Noah. A lock of hair. Another hidden piece. Another thing Tate had kept. I took a little bit of it to have a DNA test done, Chloe admitted. Noah stared. The idea unsettled him. Not just because of what the test might reveal, but because of what it meant that Chloe had felt she needed to investigate in the first place. The test said it's definitely Caucasian, Chloe continued, but it wouldn't tell me if it was a girl. She looked down at the envelope. It has to be. Noah felt his stomach tighten. He understood why Chloe was searching for answers. He understood why she was looking for something concrete, something she could hold onto. But a part of him was terrified of what those answers might uncover. Because every secret is connected back to the same question. Who had Tate loved? And why did Noah have the terrible feeling that finding out might change everything? Mia leaned forward excitedly. What if Jay is short for something? Like what? Jenny jailing Jada. Jasmine. Brooke snapped her fingers. Jasmine sounds hot and dangerous. Why? Because women named Jasmine are always hot. Serena pinched the bridge of her nose. You cannot determine guilt or hotness based on somebody hypothetically being named Jasmine. I absolutely can. Chloe stared miserably into her wine. Maybe I'm being stupid. No, Brooke said immediately, trust your instincts. Exactly, Mia agreed, women always know. Serena looked unconvinced, not always. Yes, always. No. Yes. While they argued, Noah's thoughts spiraled violently. Tate couldn't be cheating. Could he? Noah knew Tate better than any of them realized. Knew how carefully he folded receipts. Knew he hated mint toothpaste. Knew he read the endings of books first because uncertainty made him anxious. Knew he got quiet when he was overwhelmed. Knew the exact expression he made before smiling for real. Noah loved him with terrifying precision. And suddenly, every recent interaction replayed in a different light. Tate is avoiding answering calls. Late nights at work. The distracted expression. The hidden smiles. Noah's stomach twisted painfully. Maybe Chloe was right. Maybe Tate had fallen for someone else. The thought made him physically ill. In the living room, Mia had fully committed to the scandal. I'm telling you right now, rich men never keep locks of hair unless they're obsessed. Brooke pointed emphatically, yes. Thank you. Serena scoffed, or it accidentally got stuck in the wallet. No one accidentally preserves hair like a Victorian widow. Chloe let out a watery laugh despite herself. Then quietly, I just keep wondering if he even loves me anymore. The vulnerability in her voice made Noah look away. Because underneath everything else, beneath the rumors and gossip and dramatic theories, was a woman genuinely terrified of losing someone she loved. And Noah understood that feeling far too well. Brooke softened instantly. Hey. Chloe sniffed. You don't know anything for sure yet. But what if I do? You talk to him again, Serena said firmly. A real conversation, no accusations, just honesty. Mia nodded reluctantly. Okay, yes, mature communication is technically the correct answer. Brooke sighed dramatically. Unfortunately. Chloe stared down at her hands. What if he lies? Nobody answered immediately. In the kitchen, Noah's chest tightened. Because he suddenly realized something awful. If Tate really was cheating, Noah would still choose Tate. Even knowing it was wrong. Even knowing it made him terrible. He hated himself a little for that. The mansion buzzed softly with rain and distant traffic. Then Mia spoke again, voice lowering conspiratorially. Wait. What? What if the affair is with someone close to you? Chloe looked startled. What? Brooke gasped immediately because she lived for chaos. Oh my God. Serena already looked exhausted. Please don't start. I'm serious, Mia insisted. Affairs are always with assistants or coworkers or best friends. Noah's pulse jumped violently. Who's around Tate all the time? Mia continued. Noah. Brooke answered automatically. Noah nearly dropped the glass in his hand. Then Brooke immediately waved it off. But Tate treats Noah like a little brother. The irony nearly killed him. Mia frowned thoughtfully. Still. Serena cut in sharply. Absolutely not. Why not? Because Noah worships Tate. Noah went completely still. The room quieted. Brooke blinked slowly. Wait. Oh my God, Mia whispered. Chloe looked confused. What? Serena realized too late what she'd implied. I didn't mean. No, Brooke interrupted, eyes widening. Wait. Mia slapped Brooke's arm excitedly. You see it too. Noah is literally obsessed with him. Noah felt heat crawl up his throat in pure horror. Chloe stared between them. What are you talking about? Brooke lowered her voice dramatically. Chloe's honey, I think Noah might be in love with your husband. Chloe laughed instantly. Actually laughed. Noah is not in love with Tate. Brooke gave her a look. Chloe. He's not. Mia tilted her head. He does stare at Tate a lot. He admires him. He blushes every time Tate touches him. He's shy. Noah covered his face silently. Chloe was still sniffing, though uncertainty flickered briefly across her expression now. You guys are insane. Serena looked deeply uncomfortable. Noah wanted the floor to open beneath him. Chloe shook her head, smiling despite herself. Noah barely dates anybody. Exactly, Brooke said triumphantly. That proves nothing. It proves yearning. Serena muttered, can we maybe not psychoanalyze Noah behind his back? Too late. Way too late. Mia leaned closer to Chloe. Wait, does Tate know? Noah's not in love with him, Chloe repeated, though weaker now. Brooke shrugged, maybe not consciously. Noah pressed a hand against his chest. He should leave. Immediately. Instead, he stayed rooted there like an idiot, listening to every word. Because some pathetic part of him needed to know what they saw when they looked at him and Tate. Needed to know if it had truly been that obvious all along. You know what? Mia said suddenly. If Tate was cheating with Noah, that would honestly make more sense than some random J. Noah nearly inhaled water wrong. Serena looked horrified. Oh my God, stop talking. Brooke looked intrigued now. Actually. No. They spend a weird amount of time together. Because they share the same parents. And Noah knows Tate's coffee order by heart. So do I. But Noah looks at him like he hung the moon. The room quieted again. Chloe's smile faded slowly. Noah's heart slammed painfully against his ribs. Tate hates gays, so Noah hiding his love sounds reasonable. Would he hurt Noah if Tate finds out? Then softly, almost defensively, Chloe said. Tate would never do that to Noah. The statement surprised everyone. Including Noah. Brooke frowned. What do you mean? Chloe stared down into her wine. He's protective of him. Noah swallowed hard. Sometimes I think Tate loves Noah more than anyone else in the world, she admitted quietly, just not romantically. Noah's chest ached so sharply he almost winced. Because that was exactly the problem. Tate cared. Tate trusted him. Tate reached for him without thinking. And Noah had ruined all of it privately by wanting more. The mansion fell into thoughtful silence. The letter still sat between them, but it no longer felt like a weapon. More like a misunderstanding waiting to be untangled. Chloe hugged her knees to her chest on the couch, eyes tired now rather than panicked. Brooke had stopped packing. Mia had stopped dramatizing. Even Serena had relaxed her shoulders slightly, as if the worst-case scenarios were losing their grip. In the kitchen doorway, Noah stayed where he was, quiet, still, careful not to disrupt the moment. He hadn't been discovered. And the room had moved on without him. Brooke finally broke the silence, softer this time. Brooke gestured to the letter, less chaos energy, more emotional context. Serena gave her a look. That's new for you. Growth, Brooke said quickly. Chloe let out a faint, tired laugh despite herself. Brooke continued, more grounded now. So Jay clearly knows Tate well. Mia nodded, intimately. Not necessarily, Serena corrected gently, just meaningfully. That word landed differently. Meaningfully. Chloe's fingers loosened slightly in her lap. Brooke tapped the letter again, but without the earlier disgust. I want to sleep with you again, she read, then paused. That could be history or nostalgia. Mia tilted her head, or both. Serena nodded, could be someone from his past trying to reconnect. Chloe looked down, it sounded emotional. It is emotional, Brooke said, it reads like someone who misses him. The room shifted subtly. Less fear. More uncertainty. Mia leaned in again. I'll come to Los Angeles next month and take you to dinner, and we'll find a private place to park so Noah won't bother us. She wrinkled her nose, but less dramatically this time. That part is still weirdly specific. Serena smiled faintly, or intentionally intimate. Chloe looked up, intimate how? Serena chose her words carefully. Like someone trying to recreate a memory. Silence. That landed softly. Not threatening. Just sad. Brooke exhaled, yeah, that actually makes more sense. Mia glanced at the letter again. I want to celebrate your birthday alone with the birthday boy. Chloe's expression shifted slightly. That part felt, she hesitated, possessive. Or sentimental, Serena offered. Brooke nodded slowly, could be someone who still cares a lot. The room grew quieter again, but not tense. Reflective. Noah, still in the kitchen, felt the tone change more than anyone else. It wasn't suspicion anymore. It was something closer to empathy. Mia softened. And the Noah lined. Brooke sighed less harshly now. Could be jealousy in a sad way, not hate, more like fear of being replaced. Chloe frowned slightly, by Noah. Serena shook her head gently, not literally, just by whoever is closest to Tate now. That made something flicker in Chloe's face. Understanding. Brooke leaned back. This doesn't feel like a violent obsession anymore. Mia agreed quietly, more like unresolved feelings. Chloe stared at the letter for a long moment. I don't think he's cheating, she said finally. The room didn't argue. Serena nodded, I don't think so either. Brooke exhaled, same. Mia tilted her head, so what is it? Chloe hesitated. Then softer. I think someone still loves him. That sentence changed everything. The mansion didn't feel heavy anymore. Just human. Complicated. Familiar in a different way. Noah looked down at the floor in the kitchen doorway, something tight in his chest loosening slightly, not because it hurt less, but because it made more sense like this. Not betrayal. Not danger. Just history. Unfinished lingering history. Brooke tapped the blue letter once more. Honestly, she said, this reads like someone who never really got over Tate. Mia nodded slowly, and doesn't know how to let go cleanly. Serena added, so it comes out messy. Chloe let out a quiet breath. I hate that I feel bad for both of them now. Brooke gave a small, sympathetic smile, welcome to emotional adulthood. That got a weak laugh from Chloe. The first real one in a while. Outside, the rain softened further, turning almost gentle. Inside, the tension had shifted into something quieter, less dramatic, more reflective. Brooke set the letter back on the table carefully. So what do you want to do? Chloe leaned back against the couch. I think I need to talk to Tate, she said honestly, without all of this noise in my head. Mia nodded, good idea. Serena agreed, direct is better. Brooke pointed at her approvingly, character development. Chloe gave a tired smile. After that, she added, I think I just want to stop assuming the worst. That landed softly. Noah stayed still in the kitchen doorway as the conversation slowly shifted again, away from speculation, away from names, away from letters. Back to life. Back to something calmer. Something almost normal. And for the first time that night, the house felt like it could breathe again. Chloe hesitated before turning the page. The first sheet had already drained the room of its certainty. But there was another. A second page. She swallowed, unfolded it carefully, and the apartment seemed to tighten again, not in fear this time but in uneasy anticipation. Brooke leaned forward immediately, there's more. Chloe nodded faintly, yeah. Mia whispered, of course there is. Serena didn't speak, just watched Chloe's face. In the kitchen doorway, Noah stayed still, but something in his chest tightened again. Chloe began to read. Her voice was quieter now. Less shocked. More unsettled. You stopped writing to me, she read, eyes scanning the page, and I wonder if you found someone else. A pause. Brooke frowned, so this is definitely a history thing. Chloe continued. I've tried to call you many times, but Noah answers the phone. That name landed differently now. Not an accusation. Just confusion. Mia blinked, wait, so Jay is calling Tate's house. Serena shook her head slowly, or Tate's number. Brooke added, or work lined. Chloe kept going. I miss our showers and the time we spent fucking in the bathroom and those nights we spent sleeping together in bed like we did for 2 years in NYC. The room went quiet. Not scandalously quiet this time. More like reflective silence. Mia softened first, 2 years is a long time. Serena nodded slowly, that sounds like a serious relationship. Chloe's expression shifted slightly, less alarmed now, more conflicted. Brooke exhaled, okay, so this isn't random, this is an X. Chloe read on. I love calling you and just listening to you breathe or hearing you on the other end while I drink. Mia tilted her head, that's actually kind of lonely. Serena agreed quietly, it's intimate in a different way. Brooke muttered, this is less crime drama and more sad romance. Chloe swallowed and continued. Come live with me and get away from your father. That made her pause. Serena leaned forward slightly, so family pressure. Mia frowned, that sounds controlling but also protective. Brooke shrugged, could be complicated history. Chloe read the next line more carefully. Marry me. The room went still again. But differently this time. Noah stopped breathing. No shock. Just wait. Mia whispered, oh wow. Serena exhaled slowly, that's serious. Brooke leaned back, so Jay isn't random, Jay is deeply invested. Chloe's voice stayed steady now but quieter. Your father won't stop us because, you know why. She trailed off. Brooke frowned, because what? Chloe shook her head, it cuts off there. A pause. Then she continued. I love you, let me touch you again. My hands and body ache to touch you again. I can't touch you, I cannot wait to touch you, tell me if you feel the same. Noah sniffled. The tone in the room shifted slightly at that, still romantic, still charged but less chaotic than before, more emotional than anything else. Mia said softly, she really loved him. Serena nodded, or still does. Chloe kept reading. Please stop sleeping with Noah, I'm jealous and you know how much. Noah, still in the kitchen doorway, felt his stomach drop, but not violently this time. More like confusion settling in. Brooke squinted, okay, that part is interesting. Mia frowned, jealous of Noah. Serena looked thoughtful, not necessarily sexual, could be jealousy of closeness. Brooke nodded slowly, or misunderstanding of their relationship. Chloe read the final line. Her voice softened. I still have a lock of your hair, the strands you gave me from before you moved to LA. Call me, happy birthday, birthday boy. She lowered the page slightly. The room stayed quiet for a moment. Then Mia spoke gently, "That doesn't sound like hate." Serena agreed, "It sounds like someone who hasn't let go." Brooke sighed and doesn't know how to reconnect properly. Chloe looked down at the letter again, her expression less alarmed than before. More unsettled in a different way. "I don't think this is cheating," she said quietly. No one disagreed immediately. Even Brooke hesitated. Finally she said, "It sounds like someone who still loves him." Serena nodded, and doesn't know where they fit in anymore. Mia added softly, "And maybe thinks they've already been replaced." Chloe exhaled slowly, leaning back against the couch. "God," she murmured, "this is just sad." That word settled over the room. Sad. Not scandalous. Not dangerous. Just unfinished emotions spilling out badly onto paper. In the kitchen doorway, Noah stayed still, listening as the panic in the room dissolved into something gentler. Understanding replacing suspicion. And for the first time all night, the air didn't feel like it was breaking, just aching in a way nobody quite knew how to fix. The room had settled into a different kind of quiet now, less explosive, more unsettled. The kind of silence that happens when people stop trying to solve something and start realizing they don't actually have enough information to solve it. Chloe still held the blue letter, but her grip had loosened. Brooke was sitting now instead of packing. Mia had gone unusually still, her earlier chaos replaced with focus. Serena stared at the page like it might rearrange itself into something clearer if she concentrated hard enough. And in the kitchen doorway, Noah stayed exactly where he was, quiet, unnoticed, careful. But something had shifted in him. Not in the room. In him. Because he'd heard something earlier that was now looping in his mind with increasing clarity. The caller ID. Definitely not Noah. He'd seen it once, accidentally, on Tate's phone screen a year ago when it had lit up on the counter. He hadn't thought anything of it then. He should have. Now standing there in the dim light, listening to Chloe turn the page, it clicked into place with slow, sickening precision. That wasn't a joke contact name. That was the name of whoever was calling Tate repeatedly years before. Whoever Noah had assumed was just spam or a prank. Whoever had been calling enough times that it had become familiar. And now the pieces were starting to align in a way that made Noah's stomach tight. Chloe unfolded the second page again. Her voice came out quieter this time. Less reactive. More uncertain. She began to read. "Does Wayne know about us?" Brooke frowned immediately. "Who's Wayne?" Mia shrugged. "Family, friend, boss." Noah almost choked on his spit. Serena tilted her head. "Could be someone important if they're worried about exposure." Chloe reads more. "We've fooled everyone in this town, your teachers, especially your mother. I really enjoyed pulling the wool over Noah's eyes. The cunt trusts me." The room shifted again. Noah stops breathing. Not alarmed. Just more confused. Mia muttered. "That sounds like long-term deception." Brooke exhaled, "Or long-term secrecy." Serena looked uneasy, "Or someone who thinks things are more hidden than they actually are." Chloe hesitated slightly before continuing. But this silence wasn't shocking anymore. It was confusion deepening into concern. Brooke frowned. "That's dramatic." Mia nodded. "Or delusional." Serena said quietly, "Or someone afraid of consequences that don't actually exist." Chloe lowered the page slightly, looking between her friends. "I don't understand this part." Noah, still in the kitchen, felt his pulse slow slightly, not from relief but from recognition. Because that phrase, "definitely not Noah," kept circling in his head now. He remembered it clearly. Tate's phone is on the counter. A call is coming in. The name flashed across the screen. He had assumed it was some kind of inside joke. Now hearing this letter, hearing names like Wayne and Terrence and warnings about police, it didn't feel like a joke anymore. It felt like someone was trying very hard to hide. Or someone who thought they were hiding. Brooke leaned back, rubbing her forehead. "Okay," she said slowly, "new theory." Mia groaned. "Oh no. This isn't an affair," Brooke continued. Serena looked at her. "Then what is it?" Brooke gestured vaguely at the letter. "This sounds like someone who is either in a complicated, secret relationship, or someone who's delusional enough to think they are." Mia frowned, meaning. Brooke shrugged, meaning miscommunication, misinterpretation, two people not on the same page about what they are. Chloe looked down at the letter again, softer now. That actually makes more sense. Serena nodded, it would explain the paranoia. Mia added, and the intensity. Chloe exhaled slowly. I think whoever Jay is, she said quietly, she's not trying to hurt him. Brooke tilted her head, no. Chloe shook her head faintly. I think she's scared. Noah, still unseen, felt something settle in his chest at that. Not clarity, but something closer to understanding. Brooke sighed less sharp now. So we're dealing with a secret history, unclear boundaries, and at least one person who doesn't know where they stand. Mia nodded, classic Tate situation apparently. Serena gave a small, reluctant smile. That tracks. Chloe folded the letter slowly. I just need to talk to him, she said again, but this time without anger, really talk to him. Brooke nodded, yeah. Mia agreed, no letters, no guessing. Serena added softly, just truth. In the kitchen doorway, Noah stayed still as the conversation drifted away again, back to plans, back to resolution, back to something calmer. But inside his head, one thing lingered. Definitely not Noah. And for the first time all night, he wasn't sure anymore if that name was a mistake or the most important clue in the entire mess. Chloe hesitated before reading the next portion, the tone of the room already different now, less panic, more uneasy processing, like everyone was trying to assemble a story from broken glass. She exhaled once, then continued. You promised you would never date girls, fall in love, or have a relationship outside of our partnership. Brooke blinked, okay, that's controlling. Mia frowned, or emotional manipulation. Serena added quietly, or a very specific expectation someone is holding onto. Chloe kept going, voice softer. I know young men like you have hormones, but don't be like other people. I won't marry anybody but you, Tatum. I've never cared that you were a boy, it's one of the things I like about you. The phrasing made Brooke's face twist. That sentence is doing too much. Mia nodded, that's not how adults talk to each other. Serena's expression sharpened slightly, or it's someone trying to shame him into staying the same version of himself they remember. Chloe read on. I love you, she read quietly. Noah went still. Those 3 words felt heavier than all the others. Not because Tate had never been loved before, but because Noah knew how rare it was for Tate to let someone close enough to say something like that and mean it. I know that you know how much I care about you, Chloe continued. Her voice became softer. I know when you broke up with me you had your reasons, you're afraid, you're scared. Who wouldn't you be? You're a young guy, and at your age, dealing with everything you've been dealing with is hard. The room softened slightly at that. Even Brooke went quiet. Noah's expression tightened. He recognized that. The fear. The running. The way Tate pushed people away before they could leave him. His jealousy was still there, sharp and painful, but now it was mixed with something else. Recognition. Whoever wrote this knew Tate's defenses. They knew the person underneath them. I know you misunderstood the nature of our relationship, Chloe read, and I know that most people wouldn't understand. Noah's brow furrowed. The nature of their relationship. Those words stuck with him. Because they suggested something complicated, something that didn't fit neatly into the categories Noah had been trying to force onto Tate's life. But don't throw me away, Chloe continued. Her voice cracked. The room fell silent. Brooke reached over and touched Chloe's arm. Serena looked down, her expression saddened. Even Mia, who had been asking questions all night, seemed unsure what to say. Noah barely noticed them. He was stuck on those words. Don't throw me away. Because that sounded like someone who had experienced Tate leaving before. Someone who knew that when Tate was overwhelmed, his first instinct was to disappear. Then, don't keep your fiancé waiting. Noah stopped breathing for 5 seconds. That word changed the temperature instantly. Brooke sat up, oh. Mia blinked, wait. Serena straightened slightly, fiancé. Chloe frowned at the page, that doesn't fit anything else we've read. Brooke leaned forward, unless. Unless what? Mia asked. Brooke hesitated, unless this is someone who believes they're engaged. Silence. Noah watched as Chloe's expression changed. It was subtle at first. A flicker of recognition. A memory resurfaces. Wait, Chloe said quietly. Everyone looked at her. When I was dating Tate, over a year ago before we got married, he told me something. Noah immediately focused. Something about the way she said it made him feel like this mattered. He told me he had done something crazy when he was a minor. Tate joked that he had a fiancée when he was a teen. The room went silent. Noah's eyebrows lifted. A fiancé. When he was a minor. That it was the craziest thing he had ever done, Chloe continued. She looked confused now, almost like she was trying to separate an old memory from a new realization. But later in the conversation he said it wasn't true and was just messing with me. He told me I was gullible for believing him. Noah frowned. That sounded like Tate. The teasing. The way he sometimes pushed people to see how they would react. But the details were strange. He said it wasn't true, Chloe continued. He said the craziest thing he had ever done was touch a crocodile. A few seconds passed. No one spoke. Noah's mind started racing. Because the question wasn't just whether Tate had been joking. The question was whether the joke had been built around something real. Tate had always been the kind of person who hid truths inside humor. Sometimes he would say something outrageous, let people laugh it off, and never clarify whether there was a piece of honesty buried underneath. Noah looked at Chloe. Did he ever explain why he picked that story? Mia asked. Chloe shook her head. No. Noah's stomach tightened. Because if Tate had really been engaged or promised to someone, while he was young, that would explain why he remembered it as something so extreme. It would also explain why he later tried to make it seem ridiculous. But the crocodile story sounded exactly like the kind of absurd answer Tate would give when he didn't want someone digging deeper. Noah didn't know if it was true. But he knew one thing. Tate had always been very good at making the truth sound like a joke. Mia frowned, so he wasn't engaged socially, not formally, maybe emotionally. Or delusionally, Brooke added. Chloe looked down at the letter, expression unsettled again, but not afraid anymore. Just confused in a deeper way. I don't think this is someone trying to hurt Tate, she said quietly. Serena nodded, no. Mia agreed, they sound like they think they're still connected to him. Brooke leaned back. And that connection might not even exist anymore. The room went quiet for a moment. Outside the rain had thinned again, the storm losing its edge. Inside, the tension had shifted into something more reflective. Chloe placed the letter gently on the table. I think, she said slowly, this is someone who hasn't accepted that something ended. Serena nodded, that sounds right. Mia added, and doesn't know how to let go without rewriting the story. Brooke sighed, so they're clinging to an old version of Tate. Chloe looked down at her hands. And maybe he doesn't even know they still feel this way. Noah, still unseen in the kitchen doorway, felt something settle quietly in his chest. Not relief. Not fear. Just recognition of something complicated and unfinished, something that didn't fit neatly into betrayal or romance or suspicion anymore. Just people tangled in history they hadn't fully resolved. Noah stayed quiet as Chloe tried to make sense of the memory. This attractive woman, Brooke said carefully, probably under the age of 22, proposed, maybe he accepted, and he was a senior in high school. She shook her head slightly, still trying to process it. I mean, Tate is magnificent, Brooke continued. It would be crazy if women weren't proposing to him. Noah felt an immediate, complicated reaction. The comment irritated him more than he wanted to admit. Not because Brooke was wrong about Tate being attractive. Noah knew better than anyone how easily people noticed Tate. He had seen the way people looked at him, the way attention seemed to follow him without him even trying. But hearing someone else say it, especially while talking about another woman wanting Tate badly enough to propose, stirred something bitter inside him. Jealousy. Again. Noah hated that his mind immediately went there. Brooke continued, trying to find a reasonable explanation. Maybe he just did it on a whim, she suggested. Maybe it was some reckless thing they did when they were young. She paused. Or maybe the writer of this letter is delusional. The room went quiet. A stalker, Brooke added. The word made Chloe's friends exchange uneasy looks. Serena shook her head slightly. I don't know, she said. Chloe looked down at the letter. No, she said softly. Everyone looked at her. No one noticed the certainty in her voice. Not confusion. No doubt. No, Mia asked. Chloe shook her head again. I don't think she was delusional. Noah felt his attention sharpen. Because Chloe sounded like she believed the person who wrote the letter. And that meant something. Whatever this relationship had been, whatever Tate had hidden away, Chloe didn't seem to think it was imaginary. Noah stared at the letter in Chloe's hands. The possibility that someone had truly been part of Tate's life for years settled over him again. And the thought hurt more than he wanted to admit. Brooke finally broke the quiet with a small, tired exhale. Okay, she said, new conclusion. Mia looked at her, oh no. Brooke ignored her. This isn't a current affair. Serena nodded slowly, agreed. This is unfinished history. Chloe didn't argue. Mia added softly, with someone who never got closure. Silence settled again, but gentler this time. Less explosive. More human. Chloe leaned back into the couch, eyes tired but clearer. I think I just need to hear it from him, she said again, directly. Brooke nodded, yeah. Serena agreed, no more guessing. Mia sighed, no more cursed letters. Brooke smirked faintly, preferably. And in the kitchen doorway, Noah stayed still as the room slowly drifted away from suspicion and into something quieter, understanding, uncertainty, and the fragile hope that the truth, when it came, would be simpler than imagination had made it. Chloe didn't speak right away. The room had already stopped feeling like a crisis and started feeling like something else entirely, something tangled, emotional, and strangely sad. She looked at the next lines of the letter for a long moment before reading them aloud. Do you still love me as much as I love you? I feel like I'm in a daily competition with Noah for your attention. The air in the room shifted again, but gently this time. Brooke exhaled, that's heartbreak, not chaos. Mia nodded slowly, yeah. Serena agreed quietly, that's someone insecure, not someone plotting anything. Chloe continued. I feel you pulling away, and I know who is to blame. Brooke frowned slightly, still jealous but less threatening, more emotional reasoning. Serena added, projection, they're assigning blame because they're afraid of losing him. Chloe read the next line more softly. I'll be in town for your birthday next month. We can talk then and resolve the feelings we still have for each other. That made the room pause. Not alarmed. Just confused. I think I was scared of the wrong thing, she admitted. Serena looked at her gently, what do you think it is? Chloe hesitated. Someone who loved him, she said, and still does, in a way that didn't move on when everything else did. The room went quiet again, but softer this time. Understanding replaces suspicion entirely now. In the kitchen doorway, Noah finally relaxed his shoulders slightly. Still unseen. Still quiet. Still listening. But the story in the room had changed. No longer scandal. No longer an accusation. Just a long, complicated echo of something unfinished between people who had once mattered deeply and didn't quite know how to stop mattering. Chloe didn't speak right away this time. The room had already shifted into something more serious, less speculation, more careful reading between lines. She continued quieter. In 3 months it will be my 24th birthday and I'll be there. We'll celebrate together. If you've been a naughty boy, I'll let you fuck me for the first time. Brooke didn't jump in immediately. Her expression had tightened into something focused. Mia frowned. Okay, so that confirms it, the writer is an adult. Serena nodded once. Yeah, mid-20s at least. Noah felt the room grow heavier as Mia spoke. Noah stayed silent, but his mind was racing. He had been so focused on the idea of Tate loving someone else that he hadn't stopped to consider the other side of the story. The secrecy. The hidden letters. The lack of dates. The careful wording. Maybe the writer wasn't just afraid of rejection. Maybe the writer was afraid of what the truth would reveal. Chloe looked down at the letter in her hands, her face conflicted. But Tate would have remembered something like that, she whispered. Noah's chest tightened. That was the part that bothered him too. Tate remembered everything that mattered to him. The question was whether this was a memory he cherished, a memory he buried, or something far more complicated. Chloe's eyes scanned further down the page. Then she read the next line. "You're so tall." The words landed differently. Not dramatic. Noah felt a knot form in his stomach. Because suddenly the question wasn't just who was this person to Tate. It was what was this person to Tate when it started. He thought about the version of Tate he knew, the guarded, complicated person who carried so many things silently. He wondered what memories Tate had buried and why. Brooke leaned back against the couch, the letter still in Chloe's hand, her eyes moving slowly across the words as if trying to make sense of them. Chloe, Serena, and Mia sat close together on the couch, their expressions tight with concern. The room felt heavy with the weight of what had just been read aloud. Noah stayed just out of sight in the kitchen, his back pressed to the wall, every word reaching him clearly. Brooke exhaled and set the paper down. "I don't even know where to start with this." Chloe nodded slowly, her fingers tapping the edge of the counter. "It's hard to even process something like that." Mia shifted in her seat, glancing at the others. "Whoever wrote this clearly has issues." Serena leaned forward. "We need to figure out if there's any truth to it or if it's all made up." Chloe reached over and placed a hand on Brooke's arm. "Whatever happens, we're here." Mia added, "And we'll help you sort through it." Noah closed his eyes for a moment, trying to steady himself. The conversation continued in low voices, but every detail stayed with him, burning into his memory. Chloe read the next line softly. "We've fooled everyone." Brooke exhaled. "That part, that's not just secrecy, that's hiding a relationship." Serena agreed, "and possibly influencing him at a young age." A pause. The room had stopped reacting emotionally and started processing structurally, like they were trying to understand a long, complicated timeline that didn't sit comfortably with any of them. Chloe spoke quietly. "So this is something that started when he was young." No one corrected her. Brooke nodded once, and continued for years based on the letter. Mia added softly, "And the writer is still attached to that version of him." Serena exhaled. "That's the part that's most concerning." In the kitchen doorway, Noah's thoughts settled into something heavy and quiet. Not outrage. Not suspicion. Just recognition that this wasn't a simple story anyone in the room had initially assumed. A timeline that didn't line up neatly but instead layered itself, past versions of Tate overlapping with present concerns in a way none of them could fully parse yet. Chloe exhaled. And in the kitchen doorway, Noah remained still, letting the realization settle into something quieter than before. Not gossip. Not drama. Just the understanding that whatever had happened in Tate's past, it was older, more complicated, and far more deeply rooted than any of them had initially realized. Chloe stared at the page longer this time before speaking. The room had already shifted into that uneasy stillness again, no more guessing games, no more gossip energy, just the feeling that whatever this was, it had grown roots far deeper than anyone had first assumed. She read it anyway. "I feel you pulling away and I can't get you alone."